The tale unfolds in the Silver Dragon Dungeon, a prison guarded by two fearsome dragon sentinels. The Silver Dragon Queen, Roswis, arrives, ordering the guards to leave so she can confront the prisoner alone. Bound in chains before her is none other than Leon Cosmo, the legendary dragon-slaying hero. With a sly grin, Roswis taunts him, asking how it feels to be at the mercy of the dragon clan. Leon's response is curt. He wishes only to die. Amused, she steps closer, lifting his chin to examine his face. His defiance, coupled with his striking looks, intrigues her. She drags a sharp nail across his cheek, leaving a shallow cut. Leon turns his head away, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing him falter. If she intended to kill him, he urged her to make it quick. Roswis, however, was not in a hurry. She licked the blood from his wound, proposing that he join the Silver Dragon clan. Leon mocked her suggestion, questioning if she was worthy of such an ally. Enraged by his insolence, she whipped him with her tail, slamming his body into the wall. With her foot pressed against his chest, she marveled at his audacity. This was no ordinary man. Leon Cosmo, once hailed as humanity's greatest hero, had been betrayed and left to languish in captivity. His dreams of eradicating the Dragon clan and cementing a legacy were shattered. Roswis sneered, reminding him of his fall from grace. With no heir and no future, his name would fade into obscurity. Despite her taunts, Leon warned her not to underestimate humans. The Dragon Queen seized him by the neck. Tightening her grip, she reflected on how stubborn he was. Then, with a commanding tone, she asked if he was ready to beg for mercy. He revealed her first mistake, being alone with the strongest dragon slayer. Her second mistake, he explained with chilling clarity, was tasting his blood. Before she could react, Leon activated a forbidden technique, the blood curse. The curse struck instantly. Roswis recoiled, trembling as an uncontrollable desire overwhelmed her. She collapsed, her body betraying her. Leon watched coldly, declaring that she would live the rest of her life in torment. Unable to resist, Roswis lunged at him, their encounter turning bizarre and heated. Leon could no longer comprehend what was happening. The Dragon Queen, controlled by the curse, leaned in and kissed him. Leon's cheeks flushed red. Hours later, when the curse began to subside, Roswis regained her senses, horrified and furious. "What have you done to me?" she demanded. Leon explained the nature of the blood curse, a one-time forbidden spell that linked their souls. Upon his death, she would suffer endlessly. Roswis scoffed, asking why the curse had such an unexpected side effect. Leon admitted he hadn't anticipated this reaction, but it seemed the spell's power was far more complex than he had realized. Blushing with embarrassment, Roswis understood the grim implications. Dragons adhered to strict monogamy, and this bond would doom her future. She would never take another mate, bear offspring, or explain this disgrace to her clan. Ironically, Leon had achieved his revenge. She had mocked him for lacking a successor, yet now she faced the same fate. Enraged, she prepared to strike, but Leon stopped her, his voice steady. "You don't need to kill me. I'll die soon anyway." As his life faded, he made a final request, that she live in hatred and pain, bearing the weight of his curse. Moments later, Leon drew his last breath. Roswis stood frozen, grappling with the reality of his vengeance. This mere human had exacted his revenge in a way she could never have anticipated. Refusing to let his defiance be his final act, she marked his chest with the Silver Dragon emblem. Leon Cosmo's life had been extraordinary. At 5, he killed a vicious dog with his bare hands, earning the attention of a master dragon slayer who made him an apprentice. By 10, he entered the Imperial Dragon Slayer Academy, graduating 4 years later as its youngest and most esteemed student. At 15, he became a hero, slaying dragons and reclaiming territories for the Empire. His name inspired hope across the land until his capture 2 years ago. Now, Leon awoke with a scream, his hand instinctively clutching his chest. Gradually, Leon's breathing steadied as he calmed down. He looked around, finding himself in a strange room. Confused, he wondered where he was until the door suddenly opened. A small girl stepped inside, her innocence and beauty striking him. Blinking, he struggled to make sense of the situation. Rising from the bed, he gazed at her. She seemed so pure he thought she might be an angel. Surely he had died and ascended to heaven after his service to humanity. But he was wrong. "What's your name?" Leon asked, still in disbelief. The girl smiled sweetly. "Her name is Moon." Though her response made him feel oddly happy, something about her was strange. Her hair, a mix of black and white, was unlike anything he'd ever seen. She mentioned her mother had told her the name meant the moon, further confusing Leon. Did angels even have mothers? When he introduced himself, Muen beamed with excitement. Leon means lion, she exclaimed. Surprised, he asked how she knew that. She smiled again. That's what my mother told me. A growing unease gripped Leon. What's your mother's name? He asked cautiously. Rosweiss, Muen replied cheerfully. Leon froze. The name hit him like a thunderclap and he quickly pieced it together. Am I your father? Muen grinned. Yes. Panic surged through him. How could this be possible? How could he have a child with Rosweiss? Before he could process it, Muen turned to the door. Her mother stood there, sending chills down Leon's spine. Mama, Daddy's awake. Muen called out, running to her. Rosweiss's lips curled into a smile, not the one her daughter expected. While Muen believed her mother was happy because she visited him daily, Rosweiss wore a wicked grin as she stroked her daughter's head. Go outside and play, dear, Rosweiss said sweetly. Your father and I need to talk. Once Muen left, Leon stared at Rosweiss in disbelief. Is Muen really our daughter? Yes, she confirmed, closing the door behind her with her tail. She's our biological child? Leon's mind raced. Why did you have the child? Why did you save me? You've been asleep for 2 years, Rosweiss replied coldly. I haven't forgotten what you did to me and I'll never let it go. Anger flared in Leon's eyes. I never wanted this. We're different, we can't coexist. Rosweiss's expression darkened. Oh, it was torment for you, was it? Her tail wrapped around his leg, yanking him onto the bed. She climbed on top of him, tearing his shirt open as a cold gleam lit her eyes. Chanting a spell, she activated a mark to bind him to her forever. Leon begged her to stop, but she ignored him, pressing her hand to his chest. A glowing magic circle appeared, forever marking him with her dragon emblem. You'll never leave me, Rosweiss declared. From now on you're mine. Leon realized the mark would doom him. His comrades would see it as a sign of betrayal, believing he'd surrendered to the dragon clan. Dragon's vengeance was infamous, an obsessive, inhuman need for retribution. Rosweiss didn't just want him defeated. She wanted him humiliated, broken, and enslaved. As the spell completed, Leon felt an overwhelming desire he couldn't control. For Rosweiss it was a triumph. The greatest dragon slayer in human history was now her slave, her companion. Word spread quickly through the Silver Dragon Castle. The queen's husband had awakened. Even the maids noticed her unusually good mood. Hiding in a corner, Leon overheard whispers of his supposed new status and was horrified. Rosweiss had publicly declared him her husband. No one knew how terrifying she truly was. She had spent an entire day and night with him, leaving his body nearly broken. His waist felt shattered, but his spirit burned with fury. I won't stay here as her plaything, Leon vowed. Late at night, he slipped out of his room, heading for the castle's side door. 4 dragon guards stood watch, making escape seem impossible. The castle was oddly quiet, with far fewer guards than he remembered from 2 years ago. Something felt off. While searching for a way out, he stumbled upon a hidden hole in the grass. Faint light shone from the other side. Unsure if it was a trap, Leon didn't hesitate. He had to escape no matter what. Crawling through the narrow tunnel, he muttered a bitter farewell to the perverted dragon queen. As for little Muen, though she was adorable, she would have to stay behind, for now. On the balcony, Muen ran to her mother, eagerly announcing, "Father is digging a hole for the dog." The dragon queen, lounging in a bikini and sipping wine, chuckled at Leon's audacity. Muen tilted her head curiously. When will you go and fish him back? Rosweiss smirked and corrected her, not fish, darling. Say catch him back instead. Muen nodded, though a bit confused, and repeated, catch him back. As the night deepened, Leon finally escaped the castle and darted into the nearby forest. He was determined to climb the mountains ahead, where he hoped to see the border of human territory. Hours passed, and Leon felt certain the Dragon Queen wouldn't catch up. But his relief was short-lived. The sky darkened, and Rosweiss appeared above him in her true dragon form, wings spread wide as she praised his speed. Impressive, she said, landing gracefully in front of him. Her smile was sharp, her tone teasing. I distracted the guards and left that little escape route for you. Leon cursed silently, realizing her trap. Still, he bolted in defiance, though he knew returning to human territory now, with the Dragon Queen's mark on his chest, meant no one would believe he was still a dragon slayer. Rosweiss, clearly enjoying his defiance, swooped down and caught him effortlessly in her claws. Soaring high, she flew toward the human border, her grip unrelenting. After hours of flight, she dropped him near a border city, sending him crashing into the ground. Dazed and battered, Leon rose, spotting the distant lights of human settlements. Rosweiss, now in her human form, stood nearby and calmly confirmed, "Yes, we're in your empire." For most, such a sight would bring hope, but for Leon, it felt out of reach. Before he could react further, the mark on his chest began to glow, and an unbearable heat surged through him. Rosweiss smirked knowingly. "Ah, I forgot to mention. When one bearer of the dragon mark desires intimacy, the other has no choice but to comply." The realization struck Leon like lightning. This was her final humiliation. Despite his efforts to resist, he was bound to her will. Grabbing her arm, Leon glared at her. "I'll repay every humiliation you've inflicted on me. Twice over." Amused, Rosweiss chuckled, her sharp gaze locking onto his. "I'll be waiting whether you return dead or alive." Hours later, beneath a tree near the border city, their twisted fate played out once more. The Dragon Queen seemed satisfied, but Leon was drained and quietly furious. Touching the mark on his chest, Rosweiss casually mused aloud, "Perhaps I'll bring you back here every month. It could be fun to visit your homeland." Leon gritted his teeth, his spirit unbroken. "I'm not your prey. I'll walk back with what little dignity I have left." Rosweiss raised an eyebrow. "Walk? It'll take you half a month to return on foot." "Don't underestimate human endurance," Leon snapped, determined to prove her wrong. Rosweiss smiled slyly, curious to see how long he could endure. She followed him silently, amused by his faltering steps. Hours later, Leon spotted knights patrolling nearby, Imperial Dragon Slayers. Hope surged through him. But Rosweiss's piercing glare warned him. If he called for help, she wouldn't hesitate to kill them. One knight approached. "Are you lost?" he asked politely. Leon forced a smile and lied, "No, just out for a walk." The knight dismounted, introducing himself as the captain of the 47th Squadron. "This area isn't safe for casual strolls," he said, gesturing to the dangerous wildlife in the jungle. He offered to escort them, leaving Leon caught in an impossible dilemma. Leon panicked as his hands trembled while he quickly thanked the captain for his kindness, insisting they had learned self-defense and could manage on their own. In truth, he wanted the captain to stay away. The captain's recognition of Leon's face put the Dragon Queen on high alert. Her eyes narrowed as she discreetly began channeling her power, ready to eliminate the captain if necessary. Realizing the situation was escalating, Leon acted swiftly. He grabbed the Dragon Queen's hand, pulling her close to his chest. With a nervous smile, he told the captain he'd been mistaken for someone else, joking that he had such an ordinary face. Even his wife, the Dragon Queen, occasionally mistook him. Leaning in, Leon whispered desperately, begging her to play along and promising to return with her if she helped him get rid of the knights. Amused, the Dragon Queen decided to indulge him. Together, they put on a convincing act, with Leon feigning affection as he held her close. The captain, clearly uncomfortable with the display, smiled awkwardly and excused himself, losing interest in their romantic moment. As soon as the knights left, Leon released the Dragon Queen, who looked visibly annoyed. Realizing his mistake, he quickly stepped back. "You were wise not to ask for help," she remarked coldly. "But let's be clear, just because we have a child doesn't make me your wife." Leon, catching his breath, replied, "I never wanted to be your husband." Satisfied with his answer, she smirked and turned to leave, reminding him of the long journey ahead. But before they could continue, Leon felt a sharp pain in his hand before collapsing unconscious. The Dragon Queen sighed, amused by his fragility. Transforming into her dragon form, she gently picked him up with her mouth and tossed him onto her back. Taking his collapse as a silent plea for mercy, she spread her wings and flew toward the Silver Dragon Castle, pleased with the turn of events. The next morning at the castle, Leon woke to find little Mune sitting beside his bed. Confused, he wondered how he'd returned. Mune cheerfully explained that her mother had brought him back. Realizing he'd been captured like prey, Leon glanced at his hand, now neatly bandaged with a bow tied around it. Mune proudly declared she had done the bandaging herself, clearly seeking his praise. Leon smiled and gently stroked her head. "You're amazing, Mune," he said warmly before teasing, "but don't grow up to be like your mother." From the doorway, the Dragon Queen's voice cut in. "And what's wrong with being like me?" Leon froze, startled. Nervously, he tried to change the subject as Mune excitedly showed her mother the bandaged hand, explaining she'd followed her instructions perfectly. The Dragon Queen gave no praise. "That's what you're supposed to do," she said coolly. Myun nodded, accustomed to her mother's stern demeanor. Trying to shift the atmosphere, Leon patted Myun's head again. "Why don't you go hide in the garden? I'll count to 100 and come find you." Myun's eyes lit up as she ran off eagerly. Once she was gone, Leon turned to the Dragon Queen. "Why are you so hard on her?" he asked. Sitting on the bed, she explained that dragons raised their children strictly to create strong warriors. Leon countered that Myun wasn't fully a dragon and besides she was very cute. The Dragon Queen scoffed. "Myun is a dragon and cute is an insult to our kind." Leon thought she was cute too, but his comment only fueled her anger. She grabbed his shirt, reminding him, "You're just a slave for me to vent my frustrations on. Don't overstep your place." Recognizing her position, Leon backed down. Her mood lightened slightly, and she entrusted him with caring for Myun. Leaning close, she whispered, "She likes you." Overwhelmed, Leon wandered to the fountain, lamenting his new responsibility of caring for a child, especially as a dragon slayer. Spotting Myun hiding behind a pillar, he declared, "I found you." But she didn't move. Confused, he apologized for making her wait, only for her to suddenly take off running. Leon chased after her, calling out, "Why are you running?" Myun dashed around a corner, leaving Leon momentarily disoriented as he lost sight of her. Predicting a child's mood was no easy task for him. It was becoming clear why the Dragon Queen had entrusted him with caring for the little one. Just as worry began to creep in, Myun suddenly appeared behind him, wrapping her arms around him in a hug. Startled, Leon recalled seeing her run past him earlier. However, Myun confidently denied it, explaining with a smile that since her dad hadn't found her, she had decided to look for him instead. Though puzzled, Leon concluded he must have been mistaken. Taking his hand, Myun insisted he follow her, promising to show him something special. As they moved, another girl eerily similar to Myun emerged from behind and silently observed them. Later that day, once the fountains were turned on, Myun gleefully painted on a canvas, thoroughly enjoying herself. Leon sat nearby, watching her with a warm smile, a surge of tenderness washing over him. For the first time, having a daughter felt good, like a soothing balm for his weary soul. While Myun played, Leon clenched his fists, teeth gritted in determination. He resolved to find a way to escape the Dragon Queen's grasp. Before he could act, Myun ran over, excitedly presenting a drawing. Leon took it with a cheerful smile, ready to offer praise, but his expression shifted to shock. The picture showed two girls. Thinking it was a simple mistake, he pointed at the second child and asked, "Why are there two of you?" With a tender smile, Myun replied, "That's my older sister." Panic set in as Leon processed her words. The girl he had glimpsed earlier wasn't a figment of his imagination. Regretting not addressing her earlier, Leon feared he might have upset her. Myun, however, reassured him that her sister wasn't angry, just a little shy about meeting their dad. Leaning his chin on his hand, Leon contemplated the situation. He had never met Myun's sister before, and it dawned on him how much the Dragon Queen had kept from him. Frustration bubbled up and he decided to confront her. In the Silver Dragon Castle library, the Dragon Queen was perusing letters when a tiny messenger dragon arrived with a note. The sound of hurried footsteps caught her attention, and moments later, Leon burst in, his frustration evident. He demanded answers, explaining how he'd learned about the older daughter while playing with Myun. The Dragon Queen, amused by his outburst, calmly asked what had unsettled him. Slamming his hand on the table, Leon declared his admiration for her dedication, acknowledging the effort it must have taken to raise two children. He even vowed to add her name to his family tree once he returned to the Empire. The Dragon Queen, smiling faintly, explained that she hadn't mentioned her eldest daughter because she didn't see it as relevant. Leon speculated that it might be because of jealousy over his bond with Myun, but the Dragon Queen seemed surprised at his eagerness to meet Noah. Deciding to humor him, she agreed to arrange a meeting but warned him to tread carefully. As night fell, Leon made his way to the kitchen, determined to win over his eldest daughter. He set about preparing a hearty meat stew with cream, a dish from his adventuring days, known for its sweet, comforting flavor. Tasting the rich broth, he clenched his fist with determination, imagining Noah smiling and declaring how much he loved her dad's cooking. Through the kitchen window, two maids watched him curiously. They found his efforts endearing, especially since he had recently recovered from illness. To them, Leon epitomized a caring father and devoted husband. Soon, the Dragon Queen entered the kitchen with Myun and another girl in tow. Myun greeted the maids enthusiastically, while Leon braced himself, spoon in hand, ready to face Noah. The Dragon Queen, seeking a more relaxed atmosphere for dinner, instructed the maids to take a break. Bowing respectfully, they replied, "Understood," before leaving the room. As Leon plated the meal, he carried the steaming stew to the table just as the Dragon Queen entered the dining area. Little Myun dashed toward him, drawn by the mouth-watering aroma. With a warm smile, Leon said, "I heard you both like meat, so I made a special stew and fillet just for you." He hoped this meal would express his affection, particularly to Noah. To his dismay, Noah barely glanced at the food, her attention wandering elsewhere. Leon froze in disbelief, confused by her indifference. The Dragon Queen, observing the scene, smiled knowingly. Frustration flared within Leon as he realized she had anticipated this reaction, which likely explained her hesitation in arranging this meeting. Breaking the silence, the Dragon Queen prompted Noah to introduce herself. Obediently, Noah said, "I am Noah, the eldest daughter of the Silver Dragon Queen Roseways." She added proudly, "I'm 1 year and 2 months old." Dragons, being a long-lived race, matured much faster than humans. Leon stepped forward, extending his hand in greeting. "I'm your dad," he said, striving to make a good impression. To his surprise, Noah seemed momentarily captivated by him, but her aloof demeanor lingered, unsettling him. He began to question whether she harbored resentment or doubts about him. Sensing the tension, Myun gently took Noah's arm and whispered, encouraging her to talk with their dad to ease the discomfort. Noah's response, however, cut deep. "He seems very weak," she said bluntly. "I'm not sure he's really our dad." Her words struck Leon like arrows, forcing him to confront the harsh reality of his new role. It was clear that this was the first significant challenge of his journey as Papa Leon. Leon wiped his face with a cloth, reflecting on the challenging situation. He couldn't shake the feeling that his daughter might be testing him intentionally. Despite the tension, he braced himself for what lay ahead. Noah firmly rejected something, her determined expression showing her unwavering resolve. Whatever it was, she stood her ground with conviction. The family gathered around the dining table in an elegant room, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken tension. Subtle glances were exchanged, and Myun quietly sought help with her eyes. The twins sat side by side, their resemblance clear but their contrasting personalities shining through. While Noah ate with focused attention, Myun kept the conversation alive. Leon looked warmly at Noah and asked, "Are you enjoying the meal?" His tone was gentle, filled with care and curiosity. Suddenly, Noah cried out, breaking the calm atmosphere. Leon, startled by the outburst, froze in shock. Roswazek covered her mouth, clearly amused by the unfolding chaos. Myun, noticing her mother's laughter, curiously asked why she seemed so happy. Leon, catching the contagious joy, began to laugh along with the others. He expressed how being surrounded by family brought him happiness. Myun eagerly asked if their father would join them for dinner every day, her eyes sparkling with hope. However, Noah, wearing a serious expression, immediately rejected the idea. Puzzled, Myun asked why her sister was so against the idea of daily family dinners, struggling to understand. Their mother, calm and composed, shifted the conversation, questioning Noah's urgency to attend a prestigious academy for dragons. "Why the rush?" she asked. With confidence, Noah declared her desire to face and defeat even more dragon subordinates, her determination evident. Leon, wiping his face in disbelief, began to realize that his daughter might even aspire to surpass him one day. Gently, he cautioned her about the dangers of fighting powerful dragons at her young age. Annoyed, Noah crossed her arms and retorted, "I'm not a child," leaving Leon exasperated. Roswazek supported Noah's eagerness, believing early preparation would help her face future challenges. Turning to Leon, she questioned if he had any specific reasons for opposing their daughter's ambitions, subtly challenging his hesitations. Leon sighed in frustration, realizing that pushing back would only strengthen Noah's resolve to prove herself. Resigned, he chose to stay silent, acknowledging the situation with visible reluctance. Roswazek, smirking, warned Leon to tread carefully, reminding him how quickly decisions about their daughter's future could be made. Leon, visibly stressed, felt the weight of her words. Noah was informed that the academy's entrance exam would be in a month, and Leon was tasked with helping her prepare. Her enthusiastic agreement filled the room with renewed energy. As the dinner concluded, the family exchanged playful banter about how full they were, teasing each other lightheartedly. Roswazek then called out in a serious tone, catching everyone's attention. Leon, gesturing to the uncleared table, suggested that a true family dinner should end with both husband and wife cleaning up together. Rozwazek, unfazed, replied that such tasks were best left to others, subtly dismissing his suggestion. Leon countered, hinting that a harmonious family image required genuine effort, not mere appearances. Muen, eager to help, declared her intention to join in, her excitement infectious. Leaving the dragon mama with no choice but to agree. While Moon's excitement overwhelms the room as she declares that wants to help. Suddenly, she finds herself being pulled away, leaving her confused as she struggles to keep up with her parents. Meanwhile, Rozwazek confronted Leon, questioning when he planned to lend a hand. Leon, crossing his arms, reminded her of something he had told her 2 years ago. Rozwazek, radiating power, firmly refused to deal with someone who had undergone rigorous training. Leon, standing confidently, demanded to know her intentions, his sharp tone hinting that he was no longer easily manipulated. Rozwazek launched a powerful strike, warning him not to think escape was an option. Leon caught her attack effortlessly, holding her in place. With a smirk, he asked, "Who said I was trying to escape?" Rozwazek groaned in pain, struggling against his strength, as Leon taunted her for her weakened state. Mockingly, he called her a fallen queen and explained how the dragon's mark had diminished her power. He revealed knowledge he had gained from her tribe's ancient texts, unsettling her. Noticing her shock, he smirked, taunting her thirst for control. Rozwazek, breathless and flushed, questioned whether Leon had ever truly been under her control, her emotions raw and unguarded. She demands her tail be released, clearly indicating she's being restrained. Leon, holding her tail firmly, speaks in a calm yet menacing tone, accusing her of disrespecting his dignity ever since he awakened. His smug expression contrasts with her shocked and vulnerable state as she glares at him angrily. Rozwazek responds fiercely, refusing to submit and calling him a bastard. Her emotions boiling over, she challenges his dominance, her glare filled with defiance. Meanwhile, 2 maids gossip in the hallway, curious if the queen and her family have finished their private time. Their curiosity hints at something unusual. Peeking into the kitchen, they are shocked to find it spotless, as if someone meticulously scrubbed every corner. The maids speculate if the prince is responsible for the surprising cleanliness. One, delighted, holds up a polished plate. Meanwhile, Leon stands silently, observing the situation with a calm, focused demeanor. Holding Rozwazek firmly, he mocks her fall from grace, warning her to stay quiet to avoid being discovered by the maids. Rozwazek's eyes blaze with anger and determination as the door shuts firmly, reflecting her inner struggle against the humiliating circumstances. Leon smirks, tightening his grip, mockingly calling her his wife as he suggests they get started. His expression shifts to a cold, determined gaze, asserting his control over the moment. Rozwazek's eyes reveal exhaustion and helplessness as she barely responds, seemingly resigned to her fate. 3 days later, the scene shifts to a bright, majestic castle under a clear blue sky. 2 sisters stand by their father's bedside, worried as he hasn't woken up in days. One wonders if he might be dead, but the other reassures her to wait. Suddenly, Leon reacts as Noah kicks him in the face. Groaning, he questions if any child would treat their parent this way. Leon regains awareness to find Muen by his side, eagerly reacting to his movement. Muen joyfully announces his return to consciousness, while Noah watches nearby. Confused, Leon wonders when he fainted. Rozwazek calmly offers to help him recall, triggering a flashback of her striking him and rendering the dragon mark powerless. Leon reflects on her overwhelming power, realizing how easily she could have ended him. Recovering, Leon sits quietly, observing Rozwazek, who has turned her back to him. Despite her intimidating strength, he notes her beauty and recalls that she is a dragon over 200 years old. Muen, noticing her father's stillness, innocently speculates he's stunned by their mother's appearance. Rozwazek, caught off guard as something strikes a nearby surface, turns in surprise. Leon picks up a flower accessory from the floor and gently places it on Rozwazek, saying it suits her. Surprised, she questions his gesture. Leon chuckles, joking about combing his master's donkey as a child, claiming he has a knack for such things. Muen curiously asks what a donkey is, catching him off guard. Smiling, Leon explains that donkeys are smaller and more stubborn than dragons, mimicking their behavior to amuse her. Rozwazek, watching intently, notes the stubbornness she shares with donkeys. Suddenly, she strikes Leon, sending him reeling. Wincing, he reassures Muen he's fine when she expresses concern. Rozwazek assigns Leon the task of teaching the girls to write, leaving him stunned. Muen cheers at the news, while Noah confidently claims she already knows how. The sisters race to the study room, excitedly discussing their pens. Meanwhile, Rozwazek informs Leon of her sister's upcoming visit and instructs him to avoid meeting her. Leon, surprised, questions why he's being excluded. Rozwazek reminds him of his new role within the Silver Dragon clan and the 2 years he spent in a coma due to a mysterious illness. She emphasizes that he must maintain a fabricated identity if forced to meet her sister. Leon listens intently, processing the situation. With a serious expression, he acknowledges her instructions, addressing her respectfully as Your Majesty. After Rosways leaves, Leon ponders whether he will truly follow her orders. Standing alone, he begins plotting ways to embarrass her in front of her sister. The scene transitions to the children's study room in Silver Dragon Castle. Leon sits at a table, patiently teaching Noah and Myun to write their names. Demonstrating step by step, he provides examples and asks them to copy his writing. Myun appears excited, while Noah's expression is more serious. Studying his writing, Noah comments that it's not as good as their mother's, hinting at her high standards. Leon feels a twinge of frustration but doesn't respond. When he gets up to leave, Myun curiously asks where he's going. Leon explains he needs to deliver something to their mother, assuring them he'll check on their progress later. Noah doubts his seriousness, but Myun teases her sister for looking happy. Flustered, Noah denies it and insists they focus on practicing. The scene shifts to the grand gates of Silver Dragon Castle, where soldiers and nobles gather for a formal event. Isha Melkvi, the Red Dragon Queen, makes a striking entrance with her fiery red hair and regal attire. Rosways rushes to greet her sister warmly, their close bond evident in their reunion. Isha compliments Rosways on her vibrant appearance. Slightly flustered, Rosways modestly disagrees. Curious, Isha asks about Rosway's husband, having heard he's recently woken up. Disappointed by Rosway's explanation that he's unwell and unable to meet her, Isha teases her about her quick marriage and child, implying a strong connection between the couple. Defensive, Rosways denies any past or future attraction to Leon, dismissing the notion of a harmonious relationship. Isha smirks, amused by her sister's steadfast demeanor. Suggesting they chat in the garden, Rosways leads the way. Meanwhile, Leon observes the sisters from a distance using a telescope. Recognizing Isha, he watches intently, scheming ways to test the range of the dragon pattern's influence. In the garden, surrounded by blooming roses, the sisters discuss instability in the dragon clan, particularly the activity of the Red Flame Dragon King. Isha speculates that Constantine, long thought missing, may be leveraging the chaos to expand his territory. Rosways reacts with a sudden glow of energy, her body tense as she senses something unusual. Concerned, Isha asks what's wrong, but Rosways dismisses it with a smile, urging her to continue. Internally, however, Rosways curses Leon, muttering about the damn Dragon Slayer. Isha suggests strengthening border defenses and mentions sending Shin Long to maintain communication about new developments. She then remarks on how casually young dragons are using the dragon pattern, clearly amused. As Isha continues to speak, Roswais feels the dragon pattern growing stronger, wondering what might happen if this continues. Isha then turns her eyes to Roswais, asking what is going on and realizing she is blushing. Roswais answers that she forgot something important and will be back in a few moments. Curious, Isha asks if she need help and angry, Roswais deny her a company. Isha, realizing what's happening, smiles while thinking about the couple's games. Back in the castle, Leon lounges in a chair, amused by his experiment with the dragon pattern. He wonders how long Rosways can endure its effects. Suddenly, the door bursts open and Rosways storms in, seething with anger. Grabbing Leon by the collar, she accuses him of activating the dragon pattern to humiliate her in front of her sister. Leon quickly adopts an innocent expression, looking at her with mock affection. "Is it wrong for me to want you?" he asks, his tone soft and pitiful. Rosways freezes, her face flushing a deep red at his unexpected words. Letting go of his collar, she covers her face with her hand to hide her embarrassment. Leon smirks inwardly, pleased that his act seems to have worked, even as he wonders if she now feels disgusted by him. Blushing deeply, Rosways turns away and accuses Leon of being shameless. She reminds him that he's merely a defeated prisoner and has no right to speak such nonsense. With a stern tone, she tells him to put away his dirty thoughts. Leon remains silent, offering only a calm smile, while Rosways, her face still flushed, glances back at him and thinks, "I came here to confront him, so why did his words catch me off guard?" Storming out with an angry blush, she warns him that he got lucky this time, but if he tries such antics again she won't let it slide. Leon, amused, watches her leave and inwardly chuckles, thinking how a single word managed to fluster her so much. Reflecting on the situation, he notes how powerful the dragon pattern truly is. Yet, as he dwells on her reactions, he feels his heart racing unexpectedly. Shaking his head, he mutters to himself, "Cosmode, wake up. Stop thinking nonsense. The kids are still waiting for me." But it's clear that the growing tension between him and Roseways is steering the story into new territory. Back in the study room, Noah practices her writing with serious focus, while Myun, slacking off, wonders aloud why their father hasn't returned yet. Later that evening at Silver Dragon Castle, Aisha bids farewell to Roseways, announcing that she's leaving. Roseways waves her off, urging her to travel safely. Aisha transforms into her red dragon form, playfully teasing her sister to let her meet Roseways' husband next time. Roseways agrees but quickly shifts the subject. As Aisha soars into the night sky with her knights, Roseways watches her departure with a pensive expression, thinking, "I expected trouble in this chapter, but this wasn't the chaos I had anticipated. What mischief lies ahead for this family?" Gritting her teeth with renewed determination, Roseways thinks, "Damn Dragon Slayer. He still hasn't learned his lesson." Somewhere else in the castle, Leon sneezes repeatedly, wondering if someone's talking about him. He returns to the study room reading a bedtime story to Noah and Myun. As the girls fall asleep, Leon quietly closes the book, tucks them in and whispers, "Don't catch a cold." He tiptoes out, carefully shutting the door. Suddenly, Roseways slams her hand against the door with a loud thud, startling him. Her serious expression catches him off guard as she demands, "Where are you planning to go?" Leon, awkwardly scratching his head, asks, "Is your sister gone?" Roseways smirks slyly, replying, "We still have things to settle tonight." Grabbing his collar, she drags him along, ignoring his protests. In the Silver Dragon Queen's bedroom, Leon places a tub of steaming water on the floor with a thud, asking, "The hot water's ready. What do you need it for?" Roseways stretches out her legs, looking at him with a commanding air. "I've been walking all day. Wash my feet," she orders. Leon stares at her, stunned. His disbelief turns to frustration as he sighs and removes her heels, thinking, "I'm a dragon slayer, and now I'm reduced to washing a dragon's feet." As he begins, he glances at her feet and wonders how many dragon slayers have been brought low by her. Roseways notices his lingering gaze and narrows her eyes. "What are you thinking?" she asks, her face tinged with suspicion and a faint blush. Before she can press further, Leon smirks mischievously and plunges her feet into the scalding water. "Get down here," he says half-jokingly. Roseways recoils instantly, yelling, "It's too hot, you idiot." She kicks him under the chin, sending him flying back. Leon hits the ground hard, coughing up blood. With an icy glare, Roseways steps on his chest, pinning him down. "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" she accuses, her tone cold. Leon, defiant even under her foot, grins arrogantly. "You're the one who demanded I wash your feet," he retorts. Roseways flushes with a mix of embarrassment and anger. "Seems you still haven't learned your place," she mutters, dragging her foot down his chest. Her voice drops to a teasing whisper, "I bet you never imagined you'd end up beneath a dragon." Pressing her foot firmly against him, she leans in, smirking. "I'm curious, how long can you endure this?" Leon, his face flushed, looks up at her with steely defiance. "I won't give in to a dragon's games," he thinks, steeling himself for whatever comes next. With a swift motion, Leon grabs her leg and stands up with a confident grin. "I've tried pig trotters, cow trotters, goat trotters, but dragon trotters? Now that's a first." Roseways' eyes widen in shock, her face turning crimson. "What are you doing?" she exclaims. Without hesitation, Leon playfully bites her leg. "Tonight's snack, raw dragon claws?" Roseways lets out an enraged scream, threatening to kill him. The next morning, Moon and Noah wake up. Moon is still half asleep, while Noah is already wide awake. When Roseways enters the room with her leg wrapped in bandages, Moon notices and asks, "Mom, why are you limping?" Roseways brushes it off. "It's nothing." Meanwhile, Leon walks in sporting a bandage on his cheek. Moon turns to him curiously, "Dad, why do you have bruises on your face?" Mirroring Roseways' posture, Leon crosses his arms and replies, "It's nothing." Moon places her hands on her hips, staring at them both with suspicion. Suddenly, an idea lights up her face. "You must have been playing a fun game without me," she exclaims, raising her hand excitedly. "I want to play too." Noah, observing her sister's enthusiasm, sighs quietly but says nothing. Later, Leon and Rosewise stroll through the gardens of Silver Dragon Castle. They walk side by side in awkward silence, each lost in thought. A maid nudges her companion and whispers, "Look. The queen and the prince are on a date." The blue-haired maid giggles, adding, "What a lovely couple. Though they do seem a bit distant." Leon glances at Rosewise, finding her behavior unusual. He recalls her suggestion earlier to take a walk together. Shocked, he had asked why he needed to. Rosewise had replied it was necessary to maintain the image of family harmony for appearances. Now, as they walk, Leon wonders what Rosewise might be planning. She's rarely this proactive, and it leaves him uneasy. Nearby, Moon and Noah hide behind a tree, spying on their parents. Moon mutters to herself, "Dad doesn't even know how to hold hands." Suddenly, determination flashes in her eyes. Clenching her tiny fist, she declares, "I'll help them." Noah, alarmed, tries to stop her. "Wait, Moon," she whispers urgently. But Moon is already running toward their parents. "Mom. Dad." Moon calls out as she approaches. Leon and Rosewise turn startled. Leon begins to ask why Moon followed them, but before he can finish, Moon grabs their hands and links them together. "You're supposed to hold hands when you walk," Moon says cheerfully. Spinning around, she runs off, saying she's going to play with her sister. Leon looks down at his hand in Rosewise, bewildered. Watching Moon leave, he wonders where she learned such things. Back at the tree, Noah pinches Moon's cheeks in frustration. "You didn't listen to me?" Moon, tearing up, promises to behave and asks her sister to let go. Leon and Rosewise continue their walk, still holding hands, their faces flushed. Breaking the silence, Leon looks away awkwardly. "This is unexpected. What should I do?" Rosewise, blushing, softly replies, "It's okay. Just hold my hand for now." As they stroll, Leon remarks, "You're unusually calm today. It's making me nervous." With a smirk, Rosewise teases, "It seems I've finally tamed you. Now you're the one feeling unsettled." From behind a tree, Moon and Noah observe their parents with curious eyes. Leon glances at Rosewise and reflects on how she usually maintains a dignified demeanor as queen. He never expected her to be so flustered by something as simple as holding hands. After a pause, Leon brings up a topic. "Have you noticed how Moon calls me Dad, but she calls you Mother? It feels formal." Rosewise looks away. "Is there really such a big difference between mother and mom?" Leon smiles warmly. "There is. Mom feels closer, more affectionate. Maybe it's worth trying." Rosewise hesitates but eventually nods, her expression softening. "All right. I'll think about it." Leon chuckles, expressing it's good. "I bet they'll feel closer to you that way." Rosewise's cheeks turn bright red, caught off guard by Leon's cheerful demeanor. She quickly composes herself, nodding. "I'll try it next time," she says. Leon, noticing her sudden enthusiasm, raises an eyebrow. "Why are you speeding up?" They continue walking in the garden when Rosewise unexpectedly asks, "Do you ever feel homesick?" Leon gives her a skeptical look. "Why bring that up? It's not like you're letting me go back anyway." Rosewise sighs. "I can't send you home, but there's something that might ease your homesickness a little." Intrigued but silent, Leon follows her as she leads him to the large warehouse doors of the castle. Stopping before them, he eyes the doors curiously. "What is this about?" Rosewise gestures to the doors. "It doesn't have an official name. Call it a warehouse, a utility room, or whatever you like." She unlocks the door with a key and guides him inside. As Leon looks around, his eyes widen. "A dragon's treasure trove," he mutters, picking up a bracelet. If this were in the Empire, it'd easily be worth hundreds of thousands of gold coins. Rosewise explains, "That bracelet was a gift from my grandmother when I was a child. Besides spoils of war, this room holds items that are personally significant to me." Leon looks at her thoughtfully. "I've never heard you talk much about your family, except for your sister." Rosewise's voice softens. "I never met my parents. My sister and I were raised by our grandmother." Surprised, Leon shares, "That's similar to my story. I grew up in an orphanage, never knowing my parents until I was adopted by my master and his wife." He glances at her. "Why bring me here?" Rosewise walks over to a treasure chest and opens it. "I thought this might temporarily help you forget your troubles." Still confused, Leon waits as she lifts the lid. His eyes widen in shock. "The black gold armor?" Rosewise smirks. "Haven't you always wanted to reclaim it?" Leon stares at her in disbelief. "Am I dreaming? Are you really giving it back to me?" Her cunning smile deepens, her eyes glinting mischievously. Yes, she replies. As Leon reaches out to touch the chest plate, a blue light suddenly emanates from it. He freezes, stunned. It's enchanted, with a dragon mark. Internally he thinks, black gold armor, my loyal companion, how did you end up in her hands? Rosewise, still smirking, says slyly, you've finally fallen into my trap. Leon clenches his teeth, glaring at her furiously. It seems another fiery clash between Leon and Rosewise is about to unfold. Leon stood frozen, shocked and confused. What are you planning, Rosewise? He asked, his voice tense. Beneath his feet, a glowing dragon pattern began to emerge, a spell tied to his armor, ready to activate the moment he touched it. Rosewise, her tone brimming with confidence, smirked. I've added a dragon pattern to enhance your armor's properties. Leon's unease deepened. He stumbled, clutching his chest as if in pain, cursing her under his breath. Damn dragon woman! He berated himself for letting his guard down, his body trembling under the spell's effects. Rosewise laughed wickedly. The enhanced dragon pattern has doubled its power, she taunted, leaning close to him. Tell me, my dear dragon slayer, can you endure it? Leon, rendered helpless, murmured her name. Rosewise, before collapsing completely. Unable to move, frustration boiled within him. Damn it, my body won't listen. Rosewise approached, a sly smile playing on her lips. Did you think I'd let go of my grudge so easily after what you did? She asked, her tone both mocking and seductive. She confessed she'd been waiting for this opportunity to take revenge, her determination growing stronger over the past few days. I didn't think it'd be so easy to fool you, she added with a chuckle, watching as Leon silently cursed her. Finally, unable to hold back, Rosewise leaned closer, teasing him with her words and actions. Was my performance convincing? She asked, a playful glint in her eyes. Leon's anger surged. Was everything you said and did up until now a lie? He demanded. Her smile softened. No, she admitted. I haven't lied. My feelings are real. Her voice grew warm as she confessed her affection for him. Removing the barriers between them, Rosewise laughed softly. I guess I like being conquered by you, she declared, addressing him as her husband with finality. Leon lay there, his body exhausted, feeling like a bedridden patient. Yet, amidst the chaos, their feelings finally emerged, transforming the intense moment into one of mutual understanding. Hours later, Leon sighed, relief washing over him. As he looked up, he noticed Rosewise watching him with a content expression. What are you staring at? He snapped, annoyed. Rosewise leaned in, whispering in his ear. Your scars have faded a little, but you look more weathered by life now, a mature man. Unmoved, Leon retorted, you're just trying to trick me again. I'm not falling for it. Rosewise chuckled. You've gotten smarter, Leon. Suspicious, Leon waited as she hesitated mid-sentence, blushing slightly before laughing. Your health isn't what it used to be, she teased. Leon's face went pale, her words cutting deep. His mind raced with wild implications. Asterisk, am I weaker? Less capable? Asterisk, his imagination spiraled until he let out a frustrated scream. The next morning at Silver Dragon Castle, Leon entered a room looking exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. I'm here, he announced. Rosewise, standing with her arms crossed, greeted him. Good morning. Didn't sleep well? Gritting his teeth, Leon glared at her. Because of what you said. Laughing, Rosewise feigned innocence. I don't remember saying anything. From the sidelines, Noah watched the banter unfold, shaking his head. Here they go again. Changing the subject, Rosewise reminded Leon about the strict entrance exam for St. Heath Academy. You should start tutoring Noah on dragon knowledge today, she said, leaning in to whisper. For now, prove your value in other areas. Fueled by anger, Leon shot back. I just wasn't in top shape yesterday. Pointing at her, he declared, I'll make sure Noah passes the test. But I want something of equal value in return. Rosewise smirked. Agreed. But don't ask for too much. A promise is a promise, Leon replied firmly. With a laugh, Rosewise walked away. Then study hard, she called over her shoulder, leaving Leon brimming with determination. With a mocking tone, Rosewise called Leon dear and warned him not to overexert himself. Fueled by anger, Leon shouted after her, that dragon woman is done for. Rosewise waved dismissively as she walked away. Noah, observing the interaction, asked Leon why he always quarreled with her mom. Folding his arms, Leon denied it, claiming it was just their usual way of communicating. Then, surprised, he asked Noah what she had just called Rosewise. "Mom," Noah replied. Taken aback, Leon stepped closer and asked if she had been told to change what she called her. He then inquired whether she preferred the old name or the current one. Noah, looking away with a slight blush, admitted she liked the current one. Leon beamed at her, saying he had a feeling they'd come to love it. Surprised by her father's cheerful demeanor, Noah remained silent, simply observing him. As she turned to leave, she asked when they could start studying. Caught off guard, Leon called out to her, telling her to wait. In the heart of Silver Dragon Castle, the night stretched on in eerie silence. But in the children's study room, a lone light flickered. Leon sat hunched over his desk, his eyes locked on ancient Dragon Clan tomes, deeply engrossed in thought. The rest of the castle had long succumbed to sleep, including the children. Yet, amidst the quiet, Roseweiss entered the room. Spotting Leon still buried in his books, she raised an eyebrow. "You're still awake?" she asked, her voice a mix of surprise and pride. Leon didn't look up, tapping his temple with a pen as if piecing together a complex puzzle. Noah's quick to grasp concepts, he muttered, half to himself and half to Roseweiss. Typical teaching methods won't cut it for her. "I need to design an entire curriculum. Key concepts, test questions. Looks like I'm pulling an all-nighter." Rosweiss's lips curled into a proud smile as she glanced at their sleeping daughter. Lifting her chin with an almost regal air, she said, "Naturally. After all, Noah takes after me." Leon smirked, finally meeting her gaze. "Does she, though?" he challenged, a glint of mischief in his eyes. Standing tall, Leon stretched dramatically, crossing his arms with exaggerated flair. "I was the top dragon-slaying genius every year, you know. Top of my class, undefeated in field training, awarded every scholarship. The school ran out of ways to praise me," he declared, tossing her a smirk as if daring her to top his claim. Leaning forward with playful taunt, he added, "So, Your Majesty, what were your accomplishments?" For once, Roseweiss faltered. Her dragon-slaying record and military prowess were unmatched, but academics? She hesitated, realizing she might have underestimated Leon's intellect. With a disdainful smirk, she countered, "So powerful, yet still my captive, aren't you?" Leon's face darkened. "Damn it, I only lost once," he retorted, his pride visibly stung. A dragon slayer of his caliber, defeated by none other than the Silver Dragon Queen herself. Now he was stuck, a tiger in the plains, constantly at her mercy. Slumping back in his chair, Leon muttered bitterly, "One mistake and now I'm trapped. A tiger bullied by a dragon." Roseweiss, smiling smugly, leaned closer. Her voice dripped with sarcasm as she asked, "Afraid of being ridden by a dragon, are you?" Her gaze shifted, landing on a pile of bright yellow peppers. Arching an eyebrow, she asked, "What are you doing with these?" Leon blinked as if noticing them for the first time. "Those? Brought them from the kitchen to help me stay awake." Rosweiss's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "Those are Dragon Clan yellow peppers. You're human, you can't." But it was too late. Leon had already popped one into his mouth, chewing confidently, for about 2 seconds. His face turned crimson, his eyes bulged and he gasped, "So spicy." He darted around the room, patting his face and frantically searching for water. Roseweiss, torn between concern and amusement, shook her head. Stepping forward, she caught his face in her cool hands. Their eyes met and both froze. Leon's cheeks blazed, though perhaps not entirely from the pepper. Roseweiss quickly looked away, clearing her throat. "My hands are cool," she said casually, though her voice betrayed her composure. "It might help." As her fingers rested on his flushed cheeks, Leon's panic melted into an unexpected calm. Her touch was soothing, calming the fiery sting of the pepper in a way that was gentle, not jarring. Leon closed his eyes, letting the coolness of her fingertips ease the burn, which slowly began to fade. Despite himself, he felt an unexpected sense of comfort in the simple gesture. "Thank you," he murmured, reluctantly pulling away, though the warmth on his cheeks lingered, now mixed with an undeniable blush. Ross dropped her hands and stepped back, her expression unreadable as she turned to leave. "Get some rest and don't eat the peppers again," she said, her sarcasm slipping in as she moved toward the door. Leon nodded, muttering a half-hearted, Yeah, got it," though his gaze lingered on her retreating figure. When she was gone, he groaned, fanning his flushed face. The memory of her touch seemed almost hotter than the pepper itself. Yet, reality quickly intruded as he recalled her usual treatment. Crossing his arms, he muttered to himself, "Squeezes you dry and then blames your lack of endurance when you can barely stand." Scowling, he shook his head. "You can't go soft on her or you'll end up bedridden." Determined, Leon grabbed a book and began flipping through its pages, his eyes lighting up as he stumbled across something promising. Black Dragon Pill, he read aloud, excitement bubbling in his voice. A highly effective body-strengthening elixir that nourishes and stabilizes the core. Jackpot. A grin spread across his face as he studied the entry like it was a treasure map. With renewed resolve, he began making plans to improve his resilience. The next morning, sunlight poured through the windows, and outside, a small yellow bird chirped animatedly to a larger white one perched nearby. Inside, however, the atmosphere was far from cheerful. Leon sat across from his daughter, Noah, holding back a grin as he reviewed her test. "I just finished grading your test," he said, trying to keep a straight face. "Out of a possible 100 points, wanna guess what you got?" Noah fixed him with her usual deadpan stare, her expression unreadable. 50? Leon snorted, pulling the test paper out with dramatic flair. "A whole 62 actually. You underestimated yourself." Noah's eyes narrowed as she scanned the paper, her small hands tightening slightly around it. Her furrowed brows revealed her displeasure with the score. Leon softened as he watched her, noticing her serious demeanor. She was mature beyond her years, reminding him more of Ross than her younger sister Moon, who was likely outside chasing butterflies or counting clouds. Reaching out, Leon ruffled Noah's hair gently. "For a first try, 62 is pretty impressive, kid." Noah glanced up at him, her cheeks faintly coloring at the rare compliment. "Thanks," she mumbled, a touch of pride creeping into her usually stoic tone. Just as Leon leaned in to encourage her further, a sudden coughing fit overtook him. Turning away, he rubbed his throat with a wince. "Sorry about that," he croaked, his voice rasping. His throat burned, a sharp reminder of the yellow dragon clan peppers he'd foolishly eaten the night before. "Why did I think wake-up peppers were a good idea?" he thought, grimacing. Noah's expression shifted as though something had clicked. She rummaged in her pocket and produced a small tin, holding it out to him. "Dragon throat lozenges," it read in elegant script. Leon blinked in surprise. "Is this for me?" Noah's face remained stoic, but a flicker of embarrassment crossed her eyes. "Mom said to give it to you," she said, her tone slightly cooler, as though distancing herself from the gesture. Leon grinned, popping a lozenge into his mouth. The soothing mint immediately eased the irritation in his throat. "Well, tell your mom thanks for me," he said, giving Noah a knowing look. Like mother, like daughter, he mused. Cold on the outside, but with small gestures of warmth when no one's watching. As the lozenge melted away, Leon felt his energy return. Turning back to Noah, he said, "Now, where were we?" Noah's gaze sharpened, her serious side returning. "You said we'd go over the questions I got wrong?" Leon chuckled, pride welling up as he saw her determination. "Right you are, Noah."
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And for more content like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see another part. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time. Bye-bye.